So good morning, everyone. I'm Emma from Central Geelong Marketing. Today we have Brian Walker, who is the CEO and founder of the Retail Doctor Group, here to run us through how to get fit for Christmas. It has been such a difficult year for everyone, and just that little bit of extra help will no doubt make sure that we can survive Christmas as well, because it is coming up very, very fast. So Brian brings a wealth of information for us. Today, he has the most successful retail advisory and consultancy firm, is a keynote speaker, a leading media commentator, and he will be, a great asset. So hopefully you can learn a lot about today. We will have this as a recording, so we will be sending that out to you later. So don't stress if you don't get all your notes taken down. You can watch it at another stage. I will leave it over to you, Brian.
Emma, good morning, and thanks very much, everyone. My name is Brian Walker, and I'm delighted to be with you while we talk about being fit for Christmas. Retail Doctor Group is an insight strategy implementation business, and today we're really going to share time today to talk about how to get that extra mileage out of Christmas. And I also concur with Emma when she talks about the challenging year, and I don't have to tell you how challenging it has been. And hopefully this Christmas will still regain a lot of emphasis, and I wanted to touch on some of those tips, if you like, around that Christmas New Year period. So time to get fit for Christmas is the theme. Let's talk broadly about Australian retail and what it typically has been in the last couple of years, recognising that COVID will play a part here, and we'll touch on that. Christmas really, firstly, is pretty well from about the 10th or 15th of November all the way through to the end of January. And during this period, circa or approximately $55 billion is normally spent by Australian consumers in retail. So our Australian retail turnover, by the way, is $350 billion, of which pre-COVID online sales were about 9% of that on average. So to round that up, around 34 billion. COVID's definitely had an impact, and we expect that online sales will be closer to 14% on average. So what we see here is that the vast majority of retail is still done in the stores, in the physical environment. I will talk about omni-channel, which is having a website, stores open ideally through this period, and then combining the two. But 55 billion, so it's a significant part of the retail year. It's circa 30% ultimately that's done in this window. So when we look at what we talk about being fit, we're really talking about best practice retail and what we've seen over the years and worked with clients in the 15 years of Retail Doctor and in our experience in running retail businesses nationally. So what I want to do today is share the steps of business fitness and the key takeaways and opportunities for the future. First of all, there's a lot of talk about online, and everyone's saying that online will dominate retail in years to come. Well, the first point is that we are social by instinct. People like people. Going to the mall, going to the shops, spending time in the community is an important part of our lifestyle. And we only have to look at the problems around social issues during lockdowns to understand that people do like to socialise. They do like to be in the physical stores. And we don't see that changing quickly at all, if at all ever. What we see is an integration between the two. So the first point is that the shop is the experiential heartland of it all. But what it does say is that if I have a choice as a customer to shop your category or you online, and the shops aren't that interesting and haven't got much theatre, I may well choose to do that. So important to always recognise the value of the physical shop. I guess one of the questions to always think about coming into Christmas or any period for that matter is, what are we great at? What is our point of difference? What are we unique at? And that also applies to Christmas. What's our Christmas product range, our Christmas promotions? When have we started that? How have we trained our people up for Christmas? And what are we going to be known for over this period? And that ultimately all adds up to, what do we want to do with our business in time to come? What will it be known for? And what does it need to remain, to grow profitably, and so forth? And on this topic of businesses and ultimate exits, businesses that have very high reliance on the owner, low typical cash flow, a little bit undifferentiated, tend to struggle a bit more in terms of finding their buyers, because ultimately every business is to exit. So each campaign, each part of the year, like Christmas, where we train our people, we've got good systems, good processes, good cash flow, and we're planning it well, all adds to the attraction and value of the business. So one question you always ask yourself is, as we come into the Christmas, what will we be known for in Christmas 2020? What will be our standout products? What will be our point of difference, our uniqueness that will compel people to visit us? For those of us that have a database, by now I presume we would have started to communicate to our database around our Christmas specials, our Christmas offers, what we're doing in this period. Great. What we know from our consumer insights work over the period is that people resonate, particularly in times of difficulty and challenge, to great brands. So it's always a good timely reminder to look at our brand and say, okay, what are the attributes of our brands? What are the values of our brand? How does it differentiate our offer? What does it mean? Whether it's the sign on the store door or whether it's online, however it is, how is our brand being treated and loved? And then we start to break into the in-store experience. And I'll talk on visual merchandising, but we have 3 seconds as customers in which to understand what you are trying to sell us in the shop window. 3 seconds as we walk past. So good, strong groupings of product. Good, by now we should be starting to advertise our Christmas products, Christmas messaging, really strong displays that draw the eye, working with color, good lighting, good layout, I'll touch on. The ability to attract someone, not just to walk into the front of the store, but walk through the entire store. And great retailers treat their shops and their content, their stock, like chessboards. So expanding out for Christmas in certain categories, contracting in the new year. So good basic principles, maximizing sales, all about stock and flow, sell-through and so forth. And then by now, of course, we should be ideally, even in the uncertainty, and this is the tricky bit of COVID, we should ideally be having had recruited our extra staff over this Christmas window, and certainly be training them and getting them equipped with good product knowledge. Product knowledge is critical to the sales experience and the type of people we employ. Good sort of teaching, employing people for their will and then teaching them the skill. So with our brand and our product and our training, all staff obviously need to be known for what we stand for, whether it's a great service meeting, a great service proposition, in which case quick greeting, nice, knowledgeable staff, friendly, make eye contact, acknowledge within 30 seconds, open the sale, have good questions to ask, have a good ability to add on sell. Merchandising, this goes with that. Make sure we've got all our store planned out and laid out with nice add-on sale opportunities in the merchandising, good staff contact training around what to sell, what to add on and so forth. Replenishment, range, so having calculated our sales forecast over that period, our sales forecast by category, by product, what our replenishment ratio is, and therefore knowing what we expect to sell. This also applies to online. We expect to sell and what our ratio of replenishment is. And I think that the piece increasingly is how we make our shops fun over Christmas. A bit more theatrical, creative, how we have fun in that period. That also really matters because, as I touched on earlier, there's more of a need for retail to get more interesting in the physical stores and a bit more theatrical. You might also have value adds like gift wrapping, delivery in some cases, um, Christmas tips, product tips, all sorts of things. And as I touched on earlier, make sure your displays are really focused. That 3-second rule, where we want to attract people to peel off into our shop. People look at displays in threes, effectively, from the apex of the triangle to the base and across. There are many different types of displays, but the simplest one is in triangle form, 3 points as I've touched on at the triangle. However you do it, make your windows very strong, reduce a lot of the clutter and keep them super strong, reflecting what you're great at, and feature your Christmas heroes. Shops always want to look full, clean, tidy, good open communication at the counter about returns policy. One of the things I think is always good to do in the shops is to have already thinking about January, February offer and put a bag stuffer in that gives people a reason to return. And that's so important that you're able to continue to think about the return journey of your customers. But the point here is that first impressions count. And this year, it's harder for many. We're about to see a bit of a return to spending as people come out of lockdown, particularly in Melbourne and Geelong. So what we need to be doing is really maximising that in the ways that I've touched on. But do invite them back in the new year. That'll be key to this as well. Your staff are often the make or break for you. So have you got staff incentives around highest average sale over Christmas? Highest sales per employee? Have you got some incentives around Christmas? We used to do things like the 12 weeks of Christmas prior. And as we move into this time of year, you might shorten that. Or even the 12 days to Christmas, you could do that campaign. So giving your staff a bit of an incentive and a bit of competition, as well as a team goal, will help. I touched on product knowledge in the selling process. Really good to grab your staff, after hours and talk to them about and teach them about product knowledge. And what's also really important is that they know the product. And by that I mean the features of the product, the technical features, and the benefits. The benefits, of course, are what this means to the customer. I was interesting, because I was looking at Starbucks' mission statement and what it tells its employees. And when we're fully engaged with, connect with, laugh with, and uplift the lives of our customers, even if only just for a few moments. And this is actually a Harvard Business Review quote that engaged customers spend 16% more than those who aren't engaged. Now, and all the uncertainty and challenges that we've had in the market in the last 6 to 8 months, you're going to find staff wanting to talk, customers wanting to talk more, wanting generally to have more conversations with staff, and get back into that human contact that's been a bit more challenging in the last period of time. So always great to have your staff that are like a chat, friendly, but within reason. You can over-service the customer too. So it's always that right balance. Always looking at our business, I often encourage managers and owners to sit outside the shop, have a coffee, and look at the way people walk the shop, customer interaction, product, merchandising, display, messaging. The messaging should be nice and simple, not to have too many tickets in the shops, very clear, and very clear categories as well. So when I walk I stand at the lease line of your shop, I should be able to see ideally category headers that take me around the shop. I can see the flow, I can see the layout, I can see the look around. And I can work out when I'm at the door what it is I want to see of yours. And then your role is to navigate me. So we never let retail shop planning be a consequence of where customers want to go. Ideally, we manage that and we program that out accordingly. I touched on the sales process, but every good retailer has a script. So ideally, your staff would be already pretty conversant with the welcome stage, which is typically 30 seconds into the shop. by a customer, giving them time to acclimatise, work out what they want to do. The welcome, first part of the welcome is just a hi, how you going? And then leaving them be just for a little while, then coming back with what we call the opening, which is really a what, where, why, how type opening. Please have your staff try to avoid, can I help you? Because that has a 50% chance of being met with a no. Probing is the most vital stage of all. It's all around asking questions of your team, of your customers, around what they might be interested, why they're there, and then asking them a couple of questions that are open-ended, having a little bit of dialogue, and then presentation is the staff member finding the product, the solution, bringing it to the customer. And then being able to handle customer considerations, such as the price or whatever it might be, reaffirming the purchase, and then closing. Now, we do train people in this in our implementation business. So this is just a sweeping commentary on the program, but it gives you a sense of the need to have that script. But certainly for Christmas, even if you teach your people open-ended questions, that'll be a step forward. And many of you have. I did touch briefly on visual impact, but I just want to share some points with you, if I may. And remember, recognizing that it's all about your point of difference. What are you great at? So good product and pricing information, good visual, relevant visual merchandising, your story by categories, line of sight, impact. And by the way, whilst I'll come to it, we are in an omni-channel Christmas. So we should have an online business, or at the very least an online sort of location site map, if you like. But ideally we're trading. And so I think the role of online in this period is to fulfill orders, but also to tell people about your shops and to guide them towards the shops and visitation, particularly over Christmas. And of course, Christmas needs to be, and is, a festive and fun period. And you really can only really portray that in the physical store environment much more than you can online.
Brian, can I just ask, you've got having like an online presence, like with a website and maybe a store online, would sort of a Facebook social media type presence sort of be enough for some of those who can't necessarily have a website for now?
It's a great comment, and thank you. And I was going to come to this point around, there are three pieces here. There's the physical stores, there's the online piece, and then there's also social media. Now, it is important to be on social media, but again, with a good point of difference. And you can use Facebook, you can use Facebook Business, you can come onto eBay, you can come onto Amazon. There are many marketplaces in which to have that offer available, because as consumers, we want to do business with you 24/7. Not just in the shops, but we want to do it 24/7, online, in store, read about you on social media. And what's interesting with social media is that the millions of sort of messaging voices that happen around the world per minute on social media is extraordinary. So yes, you can use those platforms.
Good, thank you.
Pleasure. Now, couple other quick comments on visual merchandising. 80% of purchases are impulse. Now, we know that 75% of all consumers typically walk to the front left of a store when they walk in. So that front area is critical. That front left area is your new product, fresh product, seasonal product like Christmas, and it's really your theatrical point as well. Shouldn't be where you have any discounting, shouldn't be where you have any markdowns. It should absolutely be fresh, new stock, full of power. And we know that customers make the final decision to buy in the last 3 feet. And our little add-ons should be around the counter, ideally. So we're always thinking impulse, impulse, impulse. So visual merchandising is a really important part of the Christmas theatre, and tying in with your centre, tying in with your local community, certainly getting your flyers out, your EDMs out to your database if you have one, communicating your point of difference on social media and why people should come to visit you, and having your online offer where you can. Now, I touched on taking your customer on a journey, and this is an important part of the mix. So what we're really saying here is doing the basics brilliantly is also important. What we've found increasingly, for example, with COVID, our customers want to tell us the basics, the hygiene factors, but they rely on them being there. So with COVID, it's crowd control. It's certainly around sanitizer, advertising, practicing social distancing on your fixtures where you can, so that your customer knows that you're doing the basics of the COVID period really well, and that also your shop is tidy, clean, good ticketing, good signage, well laid out, and is appealing. So, and when we look at appealing, does my store design reflect the point of difference? Am I really showing Christmas? Have I got good lighting? Are all the lights working? You'd be surprised the amount of stores I've seen with things like lights out. Have I got a good line of sight? So if I stand at the front, can I look at the back? Can I see the back of your shop? Can I see big graphics? Have I got it all clearly laid out? And do I answer for my customer at the lease line of the shop? What is it that you want me to buy? And I mentioned taking the customer on a journey. Well, that's crucial. So what we need to do there is lay out and design our store in a way that they walk effectively in figure eight. They come in, go to the left, walk around the store, through the store, and come out in a slightly different point to the right. Knowing your store layout, hot spots, warm spots, cold spots. So hot spots are that Christmas front of shop, first part that I've talked about, receive the most traffic, product at eye level. Also, your counter is a hot spot. Warm spots are secondary traffic areas. That's really your product, which is just above or below eye level. So it's sort of the second and third area of the store, or zone of the store. And of course, our cold spots are our destination spots in the far corners of our stores. That's the product that we're known for. It is, if you like, the 501 jeans in a Levi's store. It's the product we're already known for. We have good demand for. You can also put some clearance product there as well in busier traffic times. Encourage traffic flow. Do take a step outside your shop. Do my displays look good? Have I got good flow here? Have I got good profit maximization in my categories? Are they well laid out? Do I have one this goes with that in the categories? Have I got every single opportunity to upsell? And am I managing the business such that people walk the entire shop? Prime space, I've talked about, that 20-foot semicircle inside the front door. Really have a look at how people use that space. Look at walking patterns, the way people like to walk and the way you want them to walk your shops. You guide that, you navigate it, you set out the structure for that, rather than just let people meander. Good line of sight. It's amazing the number of shops that make themselves look smaller when in fact the goal is to make ourselves look as big as we possibly can. In your category planning, your merchandise planning, knowing your best sellers, high profit items, your problem stock, your best stock, seasonal lines like Christmas, really important to by now having planned that out so that you've really got a scientific approach to the sales you make in your business and the margin too. For those of us familiar with color has a really interesting point to play in the psychology of consumers. Now, of course, Christmas time, it's a lot really bright, fresh colors. If you can, the yellows, the vibrant energy and fun associated with creativity. Orange is a nice color in this period of time of the year. It's fun as well, warmth and pleasure. And if you want people to take more time, reflect, slow down, then your blues and your light greens are these sort of colors. So have a think about the color cues of your shop. And of course, red, which is a dominant Christmas color, is really our call for action. So lots of red around the counters, around the front of the shops, buy now, sale, not sale and discount, but activity, energy, Christmas time. So color has the ability to produce this stimulus, color blocking for fashion, homewares, accessories, that type of product range, particularly. So a quick recap on the way that the shops need to look at this stage. Less is more in your displays. Apples with apples, build powerful displays, change your displays regularly. Now, even in the Christmas window, your Christmas display should change at least 4 times over that December month. Consider lighting. Bright lights over the counters, a little more subdued at the back, but lighting has an effect of slowing up or accelerating. Nice focus on display. Don't clutter, keep it simple, change it regularly. Oh, and link the activity inside your store. So if you've got something strong in the window as a hero product, have a think about your front gondola ends or wherever it might be. It's very obvious that I can look in the window and go, okay, I get it. I see what it is in the window. There it is in the store. It's amazing the number of times we promote something beautifully in the front window and then we can't find it in the shop. Nice add-on items at the counter for quick, cheap impulse purchases, bag fillers, bag stuffers, pre-made gift ideas. Have a think about what your strategy is for Christmas around that impulse add-on buy and where you can make little gift suggestions. That's a particularly good thing to promote and to position within the store. Have really simple and clear signage, nothing too dramatic. You know, it's just as much as it is about having it as a navigation system. The other thing that's always very good, depending on your category, but generally having little staff selections is always good for Christmas. Staff Christmas pick, a little piece of information about the features and benefits of the product. A little piece of information about the origin of the product is always good. Not all products, just your Christmas hero lines. Staff presentation needs to be pretty schmick at this period. Good uniforms, really important around eye contact, positive body language, customer service, friendly face, nice smile. When you're stepping outside the shop, and if you do this for the next short while, do have a look at your lighting, which I've touched on. Makes such a difference. Okay, so that's the visual appeal. Now, I will talk a little bit further and pick up on this point around marketing. By now, we would have divided, before I move into category cardio, we would have divided that 12-week period into a campaign period. So each week we would have a specific campaign, a promotional piece that would be going out to social media, going out in a flyer, handing out information, in-store signage, and we build that promotional campaign to support Christmas and New Year. And that would be an important part of this evolution of the business through that period. Now, it's interesting, we don't really talk about enough about inventory and its role to play. So by now we would have ordered our Christmas lines. They'd be on their way, all things being equal. We'd be ready to set them up. We'd have good replenishment of range. And what we've known over the years is it's never really about profit per se. It's about cash flow. It's about selling stock in a way that moves it quickly. So inventory is really our single largest expense, if you like, in the cost of goods sold. And real productivity is about doing more with less. It is about display. It is about having everything we've talked about in place. But it's also about understanding true inventory productivity. Now, I talked a little bit about sales. We should have, for this period by now, or certainly building, a sales forecast. So we should have on an Excel spreadsheet or some way a sales forecast over each month from that November through to end of January period, because it really is the grand final of retail. And we should have each week a sales within each category. And I talk about categories because categories, as you know, for retailers are planned out, stores and retailers planned in categories, purchase stock in categories, selling categories, and replenishing categories. Now, I call it categories, but in fact, it breaks down into subcategories and SKUs. And we should have very good record keeping of our sales. and very good record keeping of our categories and subcategory movement. So the thing that also goes with that is our buying. We should be able to show what we need to buy in each category, what we think our stock on hand will be for each category as we sell through, and that we're managing this what's called working capital ratio. Sometimes a lot of retailers can get themselves into trouble by buying a whole lot of stock that they feel will sell well. And what we advocate is that feel is important, but the science is more important. So what we'd like to measure, we like to measure operating margins between prime and finish. Operating prime margin is the margin we buy at. Operating finish margin is what we sell it at. So it can include after markdowns, discounts, and so forth. And we never get a better chance to sell at full margin in the window we're just about to be in. Even in the competitive environment where people are on sale, if we're differentiated, we've got a great story, we can resist the markdowns as long as we can continue that theatre and keeping it entertaining. I like to look at cost of goods sold, so I know what our profit margins are. Profit by product, by category is important, and we think about that in terms of our layout of shop as well. Stock turn is vital, and I'll touch on that. And sell through, of course. Well, if we bring in 100 t-shirts for the sake of the discussion, we sell 80, we've got an 80% sell through. So that's quite simple. So one measure I think is very important for us to know is stock turn. So as we know, inventory is the largest single element of our assets on our balance sheet. It's also our largest cost. And if you think of inventory, you want to turn it in and turn it over. So get it moving quickly through a business. And this is the calculation for stock turn. And the way I do it quite simply is stock turn. If I have a store that turns over, let's say 600,000, an average inventory at retail over the year and building up for Christmas is 200,000, then I know my stock turn is 3. Now, if we had another business that was also turning over sales at 600,000, but had stock on hand at retail of 300,000, then we'd know their stock turn is 2. And of course, if I was with you, I'd be asking you which is the higher stock turn, the more healthy business. It'd be the first one. It'd be the store with 3 stock turns, because that $100,000 difference to get the same sales is actually sitting on the shelf. And that's creating, it slows the display level of the shop down to turn it over. It slows down cash flow because you've paid for the stock. And of course, it makes it very hard to keep your customer really motivated with fresh stock turn. So as you've built up for your Christmas displays, built up your Christmas range, you should have a nice scientific view to your stock turn per category, per subcategory, and really staying close to that, particularly as you move into January, where you do start to clear product out. So stock turn is a very important ratio through this period. So have good buying processes, do know your sales history as you plan out Christmas and lead into Christmas. So inventory is really the goal of every retailer, by the way, is never to own inventory. Perfection is to sell and to buy. Or as this line says, treat your inventory like a house guest that snores. Get it in and get it out. Now, aging of stock. This is a little bit more general, but aging of stock is important to measure as well. So if your stock is too aged over a period of time and it's not moving for you, we would suggest to sell it off, move it out, clear the space, and give yourself space for Christmas displays and new stock coming in. But I would say by this time now, you're pretty well advanced in all those aspects. It is important to really choose your winning items and plan quantities carefully. Really buy confidently, but less is more. It's important to have good depth in your hero lines, not to dabble in product at this stage, but to really have a good view of what will sell and how to sell it. and make sure that you've got good backup of your retail winners. Monitor your sell-through rates regularly. Make sure you've got good projections and ensure sales are the plan. And in promoting, add value adds. So 2-for-1 deal, 3-for-1 deal, whatever it might be, as opposed to discounts. Try to avoid discounts in this period if you can. Have your high margin products in the key hotspots we touched on. Bundle those add-on sale opportunities where you can. Do set some goals for your team and some targets for your staff. And by the way, whilst we do like to have sales incentive programs for staff members at this stage of the year, provide those incentives out of the increase over and above sales budget. Yeah. And do have a little one in there for the team. So it stops this individual glory type approach. Gift vouchers are a great add-on, always been the case. Some form of gift voucher, welcome back, and I talked about redemption offer in the new year. Do set daily sales goals, and it literally is daily. I know from running businesses nationally, at this period of the year, we start to phone in daily on where we are with sales, where we are with margin. Do hold the line on price. Build average sale value. That's your add-on bundled opportunities. And of course, I've talked about merchandising. Boxing Day is the biggest retail day of the year. And whilst we might talk about Black Friday and Cyber Monday and so forth, Boxing Day remains the largest day of the year. So plan to bring people back into that New Year window. Christmas doesn't end on December the 24th at whatever time in the evening. It really ends end of January. This is your grand final of retail. So most of your annual profits should occur in this month of December. Make sure you've got your best staff on at the busiest periods. Make sure that everyone's well trained, as I've touched on. People. I just want to quickly touch on people and give you a bit of a sense of this too. This is year round, but also really critical in Christmas. Here's 3 stores, A, B, and C. Conversion rate 15%, 18%, 18% in the 3 stores, A, B, and C. What that's saying is that the shops have converted shoppers to buyers at this ratio. And when they focus on lifting their conversion rate, lifting their average sale, you can see in store C where they've really focused on it, they increase the average sale by $10. And store B increases its conversion for a 20% sales increase. Quite often retailers at this period always think about selling to the new customer. We would say, yes, that's important, but sell to the one you have as well. Calculation for identifying performance. Yes, this is a bit old-fashioned, but works beautifully. When I visit shops, particularly at this time of year, I like to walk in and have a look at the back of the shops. Now, why would I want to look in the back room? Some would say to see the lunchroom's tidy, see there's plenty of backup stock, to see that the entire back room is tidy. Yes, but the number one is that I want to get a sense that the business has a sales focus, has a sales target, has a goal. Because if you sort of look back about this whole period of Christmas and also through the year, if the better performing retailers are very target focused, very goal focused. If we don't have that, then we just continue to get what we've always had. Some quick points about measuring. We may find that our staff are having low transactions per hour. That's often spending too long with the customer and not taking control of the sale. That's often lack of confidence and knowledge in the sales script that I've touched on, and particularly product knowledge. And if one thing you can do in the short term, spend those extra hours teaching your team members about selling, teaching them about professional sales programs, but most importantly, teach them about the products. Low items for sale, well, that's often low confidence in selling add-ons. Can also be around not asking enough of those open-ended questions to discover. Certainly product knowledge. Can be about not creating a value in the add-ons. So classically, the add-on comes at that stage 4 where the salesperson or customer service person has said, well, I hope this works for you. And by the way, you mentioned, well, we've got this product. That's the time for the add-on. Low average sale per average dollar per sale, I beg your pardon. Again, not establishing customers' needs and really not trying to drive that add-on value add sale. And of course, low conversion rate. Well, that starts with this lack of skill in opening the question, rushing in, asking customers if they can I help you, which we shouldn't do. Inability to establish the customer's needs, which is improving, product knowledge I've touched on. So all these pieces around your sales around Christmas, 10 to 20% of it is there waiting to be sold, but the investment is in our people. So as a leader and owner of the retail business, the question, of course, is do we play to win? And what we do know is that better performing retailers are always thinking about performance. They have got a strategy. In this case, a Christmas strategy, how to maximize Christmas. So you might have done, for the sake of the discussion, $200,000 last Christmas. Have to presume you've got a target of 220,000 or 210,000 as a number. Your strategy is how your uniqueness and things we've touched on today and how you're going to get to that. The motivation is the environment in which you create around that. And then the ethos of motivation is goal-directed behavior. So what goals have we got for the business in this period? Goals need to be smart, specific, measurable, accurate, realistic, and timely. Good winning environment, praise, recognize, coaching when you haven't got great performance at times. And by the way, those metrics, those measures are so important for this. And good communication as a team. In that last 10, 12 days before Christmas, we always used to have startup meetings. Get the team in early, 5 minutes before the gates open, if you like, or the shutters go up. Talk about the sales goal, talk about what's working, support one another, and that's a lot to do with building that team. Do like to have a look at sales per employee. Have a good look at that over Christmas, because like all investments, you want to have a return on that. Do play to the strengths of your team. Have a look in your business and say, okay, what are the non-essential, non-sales tasks that we do during the day that we don't have to do at Christmas? And that's as simple as taking a quick time and motion study, see where your people are spending the time. We've had examples where some retailers have had up to 45% of their available hours on non-customer service and selling tasks. You want to reduce that to about 20 to 25% if you can. So do have a look at how people are being asked to use their time and where they're prioritizing. But the worst thing you can have is, of course, staff pointing to the back door, customers coming through the front door. Hire the right people. Attitude is more important than skills when employing casuals. I've stressed training today. It's such a vital part of the Christmas period. Talked about teaching the selling skills. Do have measurements. Have a good little reward system over this period, all based on the premise that you've got great product range, depth in your hero lines, and good replenishment. Okay. We do live, as Emma touched on, in an omni-channel Christmas environment. And what we do know is that as Australians and around the world, we're now spending over 4 hours a day on our smartphone, our device. It's extraordinary, isn't it? And we're using that time, and even greater in Victoria in this COVID period, we're using this time to socially keep in touch with our communities via social media. But we're also using it to surf retail offers. And we know that of all those visitations, conversion online is approximately 3 to 4%. The main reason we use devices is for researching, surfing the web, checking it out. So as a retailer, it is important that you're there. It is ideally important that you have a trading website. If retail sales on average are now 85% store, physical, and 15% online, that online is moving at double-digit numbers, accelerated by COVID, but nevertheless, we think it'll come back a bit but it's here to stay. You can comfortably know that an average of at least 10% is being done online. Now that's an average, as I touched on, some much higher, some much lower. So we do need to think about our e-commerce strategy. So have we got a website? Have we set that up? You can, there's plenty of templates of websites available. Does our website have good product knowledge? Has it got good content around our products and their uniqueness? How to do business with us? Where to see us in the shop? And are your staff trained in this area as well? So that if I come into the shop and you're out of stock of one product coming into Christmas, your staff member would say, well, you can actually order this from our website and you'll have it sitting somewhere. For the more sophisticated ones, we're working with our point of sale providers around what's called endless aisle. So that there's one, if you like, online view or cloud-based view of inventory, store drawers on it, website drawers on it, and so forth. For the bigger providers offering services like click and collect, we know that almost 70% say to them it's important that the shop provides options to order online and collect in store. Now this research online, purchase offline, which is saying research pre-going into the shop and then post, and then picking up from the shop is really important. And in fact, the way that customers increasingly do business with us is in 3 stages. High level of research online, high level of investigation online, really understanding what it is about your product, your Christmas offer in this case, how you're going about it, coming into the shop, purchasing the product in a wonderful experiential environment, great friendly people and so forth, and then being invited by you onto the 3rd stage, which is your program of loyalty. You're building your tribe, your community. And when I come to buy the business one day, I will look at your database, and that will be an asset in the business. In fact, if you look at the top 5 companies in the world, they're all predicated on the monetizing of data. So data for another day is incredibly important. At Christmas time, you'll have your most patronage for the year, and it's a great time to be collecting data, getting to know who your core customer is, their frequencies of visitation, why they like you, and you can ask them all these questions. And do reward them for coming in at Christmas with a little offer into the new year. I talked about CRM. Plenty of modules from even on MYOB and the very simple accounting softwares all have CRM platforms. They just bolt on to your system. It is an important part for your marketing strategy and customer engagement. Do you have a loyalty program? Is it linked to a digital integration? Again, lovely to have customers come in at Christmas. You can say, oh, have you joined our loyalty program? Increasingly common, but important. So it is a click and collect custom Christmas. We know that, and we call this omni-channel, the way our customers are shopping us. And we know that almost 80% of shoppers research and interact with products online before embarking to brick and mortar stores. So we do need to be there. At the very least, as Emma touched on, have something on eBay, have something on the platform channels like Catch and so forth, Amazon. So at least you're visible, but ideally do have your own website, your own online offer. Customers today are very informed, more informed than ever before, courtesy of all that time searching the web and researching. They're typically aware of their options on price, quality, and competitor offers. So store staff, your teams, need to be sharper than ever in understanding the issues, asking the questions, and building out the market activity. Do make sure that your website's up to date and relevant. Advertise your website in shops. Advertise your shop data on your website. Where you have click and collect, those systems are always working, processes are working. And of course, we might talk in channels for today, but customers aren't concerned with channels. They are really expecting a seamless experience from us. So for some of us, we might have home deliveries, we might have, all sorts of value add, build that into the offer. If you're using couriers, make sure that they're very good at what they do. It was interesting, in 2018 in the United States, 40% of holiday sales were click and collect. Customers today for fulfillment retail need a fast delivery, and if they're ordering for Christmas, it needs to be really spot on to save a lot of stress. Make sure your online prices and your in-store prices are aligned. Your product online needs to be information rich and well presented with good images. And building this customer centricity is really important. So bring it all together to win Christmas. Understand your market and product proposition to deliver that sustainable winning retail concept. Build on what you've done really well throughout the year and a year in difficult circumstances. Have great product depth, great product planning, great stock management. Have your channels all working, which is your online, your physical store, good social media offer. Now, by the way, that could be as much as 10 to 15 hours a week, just a person keeping all that up to date. So do consider that in your staffing and structure. But then the price of not doing it is to give away sales. Do monitor, do measure, do have good information systems. Have a great, fun theatrical environment in your store. Make Christmas fun. People have, particularly this year, people have experienced a lot of social isolation. They are going to come flooding back in. Let's make it fun for them. Let's give them a great Christmas experience. And certainly your people will make a big difference there. Incentivize them, train them, reward them, motivate them, and you'll have a much better and greater Christmas. So I think it's important. And I've thought about COVID increasingly and the challenges that we're under. But the other side of the cycle will return. And it's not the strongest of the species that survive, as Charles Darwin would say, but rather that which is most adaptable to change. So, time to get fit for Christmas. Much of this planning I'm sure you're well underway with. If you have any questions at all in this period, please contact retaildoctor.com.au or Brian, B-R-I-A-N, at retaildoctor.com.au. It's been a great pleasure talking with you today. Thank you very much for the opportunity. If you have any specific questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And on behalf of the team at Retail Doctor Group, Brian Walker, I wish you all a fantastic business fit Christmas and New Year. Thank you for the time today.